what's up?
Hey, Rohit, how's their day going there?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing great here in New York. Am I getting you from Michigan?
Yes, you are.
Got it. And I want to ask you later on about being among the pride of Saginaw, Michigan, of course. But this week on television, you had a great segment where you talked about your future intentions and all that. So I take it things are really on the upswing for you.
Yeah, I'm finally getting a chance to kind of do my own thing, which feels great, to be honest with you.
And you've been in the stable and in the tag team thing for quite a while now. Was it always your plan, though, to go single?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I got into with the intention was to get into wrestling as a singles wrestler. It was never to be a tag, wrestler. I have tagged with plenty of people before, including all my Hit Squad brothers, but the main goal is to be my own person.
Does this change the moves or the in-ring action for you at all because you don't have to work in tandem with other people?
No, the majority of my career is, it has been me. So now it's just, I get to shine a little bit more, and I finally get mic time. The mindset is different. Instead of being the black sheep, like I always like to say, where I'm the bad kid in the family and always getting in trouble by the patriarch, by Gamma, which is always a good dynamic, but, you can run with that for so long. Now it's the time where I get to my real feelings, because it is like there's so much. I take my bitterness, my frustration, my anger from where I am in professional wrestling, where I think I should be. I mean, and if you don't take pride in your work and don't think that you should deserve a better spot, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not trying to be egotistical or something, but I do know I'm way more talented than being at the bottom constantly. So now Impact's finally giving me that ball and giving me a little a taste and saying, hey, show us what you got. And now I get to show them what I got. And I think the promos alone have spoke for themselves. I've been seeing a lot of good feedback, not only from like people in the office, backstage, and other wrestlers, but also fans, even fans that are like, I wasn't even a fan of his before, but now I am. So now it's that mentality where I get to take that, put this boulder-sized chip on my shoulder, and beg for someone to knock it off. And I actually like that dynamic. I've seen some people take it, some people don't. They're like, he's very angry in his interviews. I don't think he should be yelling. I mean, to be honest, my favorite promos are the guys that start off quiet, like Ric Flair, and he starts off, and the next thing you know, he gets fired up, and that's my favorite style. So, I mean, I guess it's not for everybody, but that's what I'm going with. You either like it or you don't.
I definitely like it. I'm sure I'm not the only one who likes it on that end. And you're over 10 years into your career. Do you have a proudest accomplishment at this point?
Oh, geez. I think getting signed with Impact, to be honest. I had some love from Ring of Honor for quite some time. It just never went anywhere. That was probably really cool. And then when I actually got signed to Impact, I mean, getting flown places, getting put up in hotels, being on TV every single week, it's like that's what you aspire to do as a professional wrestler. You aspire to break down these walls. So I think that is at the top of my list. And now with it going into the next year, I can't wait to see where this goes. I just really hope that the momentum I'm getting and the positive feedback I'm seeing from the majority of people, I hope that the office sees that and they're like, okay, let's give him more and see what we can do, because that's the goal. I got to rub off that bottom guy, job guy, stank, I guess you could say. And so now I have to really show people work even harder that, hey, I can actually be somebody at Impact. I'm not just the guy that makes others look good.
It's easy as an American wrestling fan to stick in the bubble of just thinking that America is kind of the world, but Impact has always been very popular on a global level. Are the fans overseas reacting to you very differently?
I get a few people, a lot of people from India love to see it, which I love that, being able to represent India, especially now if I can get some wins under my belt. I know that'll be, a huge thing. I do get some love. There's a few fans from Italy, England. I was getting some love over there. I really want to wrestle all around the world. So I'm hoping once all this nonsense is done that I can start traveling to England. I would love to wrestle in Japan, just anywhere. There was something that might happen in I think it was South Africa. A promoter got a hold of me where actually Gersinder was just over there and put the promoter in touch with me. And I would love to try to get over there and wrestle, because I've only been to Canada and Mexico, which is awesome, which were huge for me when I was first starting out, which I loved, and I love wrestling in both those countries. But I want to branch out and go everywhere, That's what I want to do. I want to make sure, put those hashtags, and I've wrestled here, here, and here, and expand, hopefully, the love or the hate for that character.
Clean passport, able to travel, so that if anybody's listening to this, they know that they can book you right away. Am I correct?
Oh, you are correct.
So have you lived in Michigan your whole life?
I have, born and raised in Saginaw, Michigan.
Saginaw is one of those towns where most people haven't been there per se, but Stevie Wonder and all these big people have roots there. What is it that keeps you so loyal to that area?
Keeps me loyal to this area? For me, it's because I have a house that's paid off and I have to fix it up so I can sell it. But I would love to move, not just because I want to get out of Saginaw, just because I want to get a warmer climate. But Saginaw has a lot of underrated, unseen talent, and one of my favorite talents is from Saginaw is TNA alumni, original OG Monty Brown, the alpha male. I mean, that's one of my favorite guys when I was watching, Impact and TNA back in the day. And I was a huge fan, obviously, because he was from Saginaw. But then when you actually listen to his promos, he was killing guys with the pounce. And it's cool because I know him on a personal level, so I get to talk to him from time to time. And when I first started, before I was cleared to wrestle, I repped one of his matches in Saginaw. And then when I started to wrestle, he would show up to shows, and he would give me advice. And then he would watch Impact from time to time, and he would give me advice on that. So that, that's really cool. And then we have a lot of other talent here, a lot of other sports, a lot of other well-known athletes that came out of Saginaw. So in Michigan, the Steiner brothers, Kevin Nash was around these parts. So we have people that, that are great wrestlers as well that have come from the mid.
Well, connecting the dots here between Kevin Nash and Michigan, were you a fan of the show Detroiters?
No, I don't. I've never heard of that show, actually.
Great Comedy Central show that ran for a few seasons where, as a surprise, Kevin Nash was the father of one of the people. Really, really funny show that I recommend on that end. But
all right, cool.
It sounds like one day you might move, but things are totally on the upside with your career. But is there a lot of life for you outside of wrestling, or does really wrestling get every moment of every day for you?
No, obviously family time and stuff like that and friends. But as of before, the whole virus kicked, wrestling every weekend, I was somewhere. And because that was what I wanted to do, that was my thing. I worked retail for like years, years. Management and retail. And so I was constantly trying to balance the two. And I was working a full-time job and trying to wrestle using all my vacation time for wrestling. And then at the one point I could, work a small part-time job and then wrestle whenever. So that was good. So I was making money on the side, but also still wrestling whenever I wanted to. And that was my goal, is to make wrestling everything, until I can actually make a really good name for myself, profit off that, and then see what happens afterwards. But yeah, I always go back to school. I had got my certification for a personal trainer and stuff like that. So there's all those things that can happen after wrestling. Who knows, maybe open up a school when it's all said and done. But yeah, there's always going to be life after wrestling or life outside of wrestling. But as of right now, I miss it, and I want to get back to it. I can't wait to get back in the ring and start traveling again.
Was wrestling always your main hobby? It was never music or basketball or anything like that?
No, I used to play basketball religiously when I was a kid. I've always loved wrestling, ever since I was a child. But I used to do martial arts for years. I did Wing Chun Kung Fu for like 10 years. Then I got into jiu-jitsu. Then, of course, that evolved into mixed martial arts. When I was in high school, I almost got in a fight with the basketball coach. So I quit my team, and then I started powerlifting, just a scrawny little kid trying to put up a whole bunch of weight. And, I've always been in love with lifting weights. And so when I actually finally had a chance, because we had at the high school I was at, we had a lifting class. That's all I would do. I was always just enamored with it. And, I still obviously lift weights, and I'm still enamored with it. But no, man, I played sports, when I was younger. But wrestling has always been there. I always tried to emulate and imitate wrestlers. When I was a kid, I was wrestling with a giant teddy bear. When I was a kid, I would take the small G.I. Joe figures apart and then like put the other parts together to make them look like wrestlers. And it's always been a part of my life, and I've always wanted to do it. And then when I finally had the chance to go train, and that was it, man. I was on my path, and I knew that was my calling.
Well, two quick questions, and then you are a free man. And the first one is, when you're working out, because you are a workout guy, what music do you listen to or podcasts?
It actually, I try doing podcasts, but I need something to kind of motivate me. So a lot of times it's obviously high energy music, but it could be like really heavy metal, like Slayer, As I Lay Dying, or anything from like Wu-Tang Clan, or Nas or something like that. Mobb Deep. It has to be something that hits and that keeps me motivated and keeps me in that mindset. So that's what I like. I really love to just listen to something that's heavy, energetic, and hard. So I try to do podcasts, and I would get too involved in what they were saying, with the music, I could just have it in the background and it's going. I listen to podcasts if I want to fall asleep. Not saying it bores me, but just getting really deep and involved in that, and it's so relaxing and listening, it's like having a good conversation with someone late at night, and then you just start to, fall asleep because you're so into it, and not to the point where like you're into it where you're hooked on every word. It's just calming, and I would do that, and then get up the next morning and listen to the podcast. But listening has to be some good music.
Totally agreed on all ends, from Slayer to Wu-Tang to podcasts putting people to sleep. So in closing, any last words for the kids?
No, I hope everyone's doing good. And, of course, you can check me out every Tuesday. The Jaw Jackin' Tuesday Night Impact, and his mother called him son because he shines like one mocha-skin manimal, ravishing Rohit Raju. And, of course, you can catch me on Twitter at Hakeem Zane, and then on the good old Instagram, Raju Zane 80. But I hope everyone's doing good. I hope everyone's safe and sound and being busy and creative and getting through this insanity.
Perfect. You gave me so much to work with. Keep up the great work. It's great to see you rising up the card, man. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate that. Thank you.